the hope that connects generations. There is a flame that never goes out, a light that travels through time, passing from hand to hand, from heart to heart. That flame is called hope. It is born in a glance, in a wise piece of advice, in a story told for the third time, but which now takes on new meaning, because the listener has grown. Hope, when nurtured, is not ours alone. It spreads, it echoes in the words we leave behind, in the examples we set, in the small gestures that someday become a compass for those who come after us. Society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in. Greek proverb, this is what we do, often without realizing it. We plant seeds of hope in our children, grandchildren, nieces and nephews, students, or even strangers who cross our path. Have you ever thought about how many times you've been a guiding light for someone younger? With just a word, with a patient smile, with that "this too shall pass" spoken from experience. The hope we carry becomes a bridge. It connects yesterday to tomorrow. How many times have we heard our grandparents tell stories of resilience, of wars, of hardship, of faith kept even without guarantees? And how did those stories, even if distant from our own reality, plant in us a quiet certainty? If they made it, so can I. Today, we are the ones carrying those stories. We are the keepers of experience, and we have a choice: to pass on only the pains of the past, or also the hopes that brought us here. Because hope is also an inheritance. What are you leaving for those who come after you? Fear or trust? Discouragement or inspiration? Sometimes a single phrase spoken with tenderness can become a beacon for an entire generation. It is not what we give our children, but what we teach them to hope for, that shapes their future. Anonymous reflection, you, who have lived decades, carry something precious, a vision of the future with feet firmly planted in the past. That wisdom is rare, and it shines even brighter when shared with love. Imagine the impact of a grandmother who, despite the pains of age, still believes better days will come, or a grandfather who, even with physical struggles, still smiles and says, "Life is worth it." Trust in it. These attitudes are seeds, and they will bloom in due time even when we are no longer here. The hope that connects generations does not die. It transforms. It multiplies. And when we look back, we will know we left more than memories. We left a legacy of faith in tomorrow. Hope is a path that never ends. It is the light we carry even when shadows persist. It is the invisible embrace that comforts the weary soul, and the gentle whisper that reminds us, there is still time. There is still life. Today I invite you to nurture this hope, to water this seed in your heart, to share it with those you love, and to keep your gaze always turned toward the horizon. Because even with all the difficulties, hope keeps us open to the future, a future we can build with each new dawn. If this video touched your heart, leave a comment with your thoughts or a story of hope. Share it with friends and family, so more hearts may be reached. And if you haven't yet subscribed, click the subscribe button to keep receiving messages that comfort, inspire, and renew the soul. Let's keep our hearts open together, because hope is the greatest gift we can give ourselves and the world. Thank you for being here. Until next time. Hope in pain. Pain. No one goes through life without knowing it. It arrives without asking permission, and sometimes it stays longer than we'd like. But even in pain, there is room for hope. Pain teaches us to listen to silence, to look inward, to recognize what truly matters. When we're young, we think pain is something to be avoided at all costs. But as the years pass, we realize it doesn't come to destroy. It comes to transform. Pain is the price we pay for loving deeply. Queen Elizabeth II, and how we love. We love people who are no longer here. We love moments that won't return. We love what life has taken from us. But it's that very love that keeps us alive. And where there is love, there is still hope. Sometimes, hope doesn't shout. It only whispers softly, in the midst of a falling tear or in the comfort of a fond memory. Have you ever noticed how, even in grief, there is beauty? Beauty in having lived something worthwhile, beauty in having stories to tell, beauty in having felt, even if it hurt. Pain refines us, makes us more human, more understanding, closer to one another. Those who have suffered understand another's silence. They know when a hand needs to be held, when a hug says more than 1,000 words, and even when everything seems dark, hope is that single candle still burning in the depths of the soul. Fragile. Yes, but enough to keep the darkness from being absolute. There is a kind of hope born only in pain, a more mature hope, humbler, deeper. It doesn't promise perfection, but it assures us that everything will have meaning, in time. And that is enough. Hope is like the sun. As we walk toward it, the shadow falls behind us. Eastern proverb. Maybe today you're feeling an old pain or a new one. Maybe it's physical, maybe it's emotional. But whatever it is, allow yourself to face it with courage, and then look beyond it. Because even on the cloudiest days, the blue sky still exists behind the gray. And even when it seems all is lost, there is something inside you that still pulses, still breathes, still hopes. Hope in pain is not an illusion. It is resistance. It is the soul saying, I am still here. So don't give up, don't close yourself off, even if it hurts, and it will. Let hope in, even if only through a crack. It always finds a way. The heart that learns to wait. A small word, but full of trials, full of lessons, full of silence. There was a time when we chased after everything. We wanted answers now, change now, healing, love, joy, now. But then, life teaches us to wait. Not with haste, but with patience. It's a slow learning, like learning to hear the ticking of a clock without anxiety, like learning to trust the timing of a seed, which doesn't bloom because we demand it, but because we respect its rhythm. There is a time for everything, and a season for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. Those who have lived long enough know, the best things don't come when we want them, but when we're ready. And the heart, it learns too. It learns to wait for answers, to wait for reunions, to wait for better days, even without guarantees. Waiting isn't standing still. It's trusting in silence. It's continuing to walk, even when you can't see the next step. Maybe you're waiting for something right now. Maybe a reconciliation, a sign, an improvement in health, a phone call from someone who drifted away. And sometimes it feels like nothing is happening. But the heart that learns to wait also learns to hope. Yes, because waiting with faith is different from waiting with fear. It's hope that keeps us tending the garden even without knowing if the rain will come. It's hope that makes us rise each day, place our feet on the ground and say, today could be the day. Waiting is an act of courage. It's a silent vow that says, even without seeing, I keep believing. And in the end, even if what we waited for doesn't arrive as we imagined, we discover something greater has come instead. Growth, wisdom, strengthened faith. Time teaches the heart to trust what it cannot see. Anonymous reflection. So if today, your heart is still waiting, don't be ashamed, don't grow weary. Perhaps what you need most in this moment isn't what you're waiting for, but the quiet transformation this time is working within you. Keep tending to your inner self with care, keep believing with lightness, because the heart that learns to wait also learns to be reborn. Time is an ally, time so often seen as an enemy. But what if in truth it is a silent ally, a quiet companion, walking patiently beside us, teaching us the value of pausing. In youth, we race against time. We want everything fast. We want to arrive, quickly, conquer, win, prove. But with the years, we learn that time is not a race. It is a path, and a path is only truly appreciated. Slowly. Have you ever noticed how some of life's most precious things take time to form? A true bond, a lasting friendship, a quiet love. the wisdom not read in books, but lived. Time teaches. It shapes the way we see the world. It shows us that pain passes, but also that simple joys last longer than they seem. It gives us perspective. It reveals how yesterday's worry, which once felt enormous, today no longer stings. It turns loss into tender longing, wounds into scars that tell stories, and mistakes into lessons. Time does not erase but teaches us how to cope. An ancient proverb whispered through generations. In later years, time takes on new meaning. It's no longer about quantity, but quality. No longer about haste, but presence. We no longer need to prove anything to anyone. At last, we can simply be who we are, lightly. And that is time's gift. It gives us the chance to look back without rushing, to revisit memories like flipping through a photo album with tenderness, to laugh at things that once hurt us, to understand silences that once irritated us, to forgive even ourselves, because time shows us that nothing was in vain. Every step had meaning. Every mistake brought us here. Every success was a seed planted. And now, it is time to reap with gratitude. Yes, the body changes. Energy wanes. But the soul? It grows wider wings. We have more time to watch the sunset, to listen to that old song without rushing to skip the track, to write letters or simply thoughts, to tell stories that no one else but us can tell. Time, dear listener, is more than clocks and calendars. It is a generous teacher. It shows us that what seemed like loss was merely transformation. It proves that life does not end in stumbles. It restarts within them. And strange as it may seem, sometimes we must travel further down the road to finally see the path. So breathe, look around, embrace time with kindness. It is not a villain. It is a companion. And as long as it exists, there will be possibility. There will be hope. There will be time to begin again. Small daily miracles. Miracle, a word that carries something sacred, mysterious. But are miracles only found in grand revelations? Or do they dwell in the simple, the everyday, in what many no longer see? As the years pass, we learn to see the invisible, to notice the value of a kind gesture, of a sincere good morning, of a warm cup of coffee on a cold morning, of a hug that says nothing, but heals everything. Perhaps you, like so many of us, have searched for big answers, impressive miracles, visible transformations. But time, it teaches us that true miracles make no noise. They happen when we wake and feel gratitude for another day, when we smile for no reason, when we look at a flower and it seems more alive than yesterday, when a good memory warms the heart, even if it aches a little too. These are the miracles the modern world no longer values, but the soul recognizes as treasures. Do not wait for grand signs. The small miracles are what sustain our days. Anonymous sage. And how many of these small miracles have been part of your life? Perhaps you've forgotten. But remember, that grandchild who smiled just at the sight view, that simple conversation that healed a hard day, that tear that fell and set you free. Miracles. Every day life offers us signs that we are not alone. It whispers, I am still here. There is still beauty. There is still hope. Maybe we can no longer run as we once did, but we can still walk slowly and notice the colors along the way. Maybe our vision is no longer sharp, but the heart sees more than ever. And when we look with the heart's eyes, we see things the young have yet to learn to notice. The miracle of a fond memory, the miracle of being able to forgive, the miracle of being alive. Even after so much pain, these miracles don't make headlines. They aren't photographed, but they are the true pillars of the human soul. So today, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Look around. Find at least one hidden miracle in this day. It might be in a bird's song, the light through the window, or the peace of sitting quietly with yourself. Hope renews itself in small daily miracles. And when you recognize them, life takes on new meaning. The light that never goes out. There is a light that lives within us. We don't always see it. Sometimes life throws too much dust upon it. Pain, exhaustion, frustration. But even so, it never goes out. This light has a name, hope. It is like a forgotten candle in a corner of the soul. A small flame may be flickering, but steady. And even when everything around seems dark, when the news weighs heavy, when age brings its limitations, when the silence of the house is louder than any sound, that flame is still there, steady, resilient, waiting for us to look its way. How many times have you faced situations that seemed impossible? Moments when you thought you couldn't bear another day, another loss, another challenge. And yet, here you are, because inside you there is more strength than you realize. And where there is strength, there is light. And where there is light, there is hope. Sometimes life seems to place us inside a tunnel. And when we look ahead, everything is dark. But hope teaches us not to look toward the end of the tunnel, but within ourselves. Because the light that will guide us doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. It's in your voice when you comfort someone. In the hug you once gave a crying grandchild. In the kind word you offered even when you needed support yourself. It's in the days you woke up in pain and still made coffee. In the days no one called and you still smiled. That is the light that never goes out. It is built with small gestures, with memories that warm you, with faith that doesn't need certainty to exist. Because hope isn't the absence of hardship, it's the daily decision to keep the candle burning even when the wind tries to blow it out. Maybe there are days when everything feels heavy. That's normal. We're only human. But on those days, try closing your eyes. And remember, the flame is still there. Even if you don't see it, it feels you. It knows your struggle. It honors your story. And do you know what's most beautiful? Your light can ignite the light in others. With a smile, with a welcoming glance, with the wisdom only the years can give. Because when one illuminated soul crosses paths with another, something sacred happens, a spark spreads. And what was darkness, becomes light. You are not at the end of the road. You are a beacon for many. And as long as this light lives within you, the future remains full of possibilities. Even if your steps are slower, even if your dreams have changed shape, the flame of hope remains. It is the light that never goes out, and it is shining in you, right now, when everything seems dark. Sometimes the days turn gray. The sky feels distant. The world outside rushes, shouts, accelerates. But inside, the silence weighs heavy. Those who have lived through many winters know there are moments when the darkness seems longer than expected. Moments when hope hides behind the clouds, and the soul seems to forget what it's like to live in sunlight. Maybe you know this feeling. Maybe you feel it now. That loneliness that lingers even when people are near. That quiet pain dwelling in longing for those who are gone, for those who drifted away, or even for the person you once were. And then comes the silent but deep question. Will this pass? Yes, it will, but not in the way we imagine. Life doesn't turn back time. It invites us to find meaning even in the broken pieces, because darkness, though cold, is not the end. It is the womb where our deepest strengths are reborn. It is there that we learn to listen, not with our ears but with our hearts. It is there that hope learns to grow. Even without light, there is no night so long that it prevents the dawn. This phrase, so often spoken in comfort, holds a universal truth. Even in the darkest moments, when children seem distant, when the body no longer responds as it once did, when we feel the world has changed too fast, there is always a sliver of light trying to break through. Maybe we can't change what happened to us, but we can change what we do with it. We can look at the dark and not deny its existence, but we don't have to surrender to it. We can say, I am hurting, yes, but still, I choose to wait for tomorrow. And this waiting doesn't have to be passive. It can be nurtured with acts of kindness, with good memories, with words that rescue us. A cup of tea made slowly, a saved note that still warms you, a prayer whispered in the solitude of your room, and old song that touches your soul as if it knew every wrinkle in your story. These moments, small in the eyes of the world, are giants to the heart. They are beacons in the dark, reminders that life still pulses, even in silence. And if you've made it this far, if you're still listening, it's because inside you still lives the will to keep going, to feel, to love, to reconnect. Even when everything seems dark, hope whispers. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand, but it never abandons us. It only waits for us to look within and discover the light we seek has always been here. Have you ever wondered if there's still time to start over? Amid the memories time carries, the faces that have gone, the dreams that have fallen asleep, is it possible to keep an open heart, even when life seems to grow silent? In this video, we'll walk together along the pathways of the soul, discovering how hope, that delicate yet persistent light, can reignite within us, even when everything seems dark. If you feel like life has slowed down, that the days have grown quieter, know this: you are not alone. This is an invitation to shift your perspective on the future, because hope is not a privilege of youth. It is the gift of those who have lived and still choose to dream. Get comfortable. Take a deep breath. This moment is yours. Let's reflect together on the value of hope and discover how to keep an open heart, even in life's most difficult seasons. The seed of hope. Hope. It never arrives shouting. It doesn't knock loudly at the door. It comes slowly, almost imperceptibly, like a gentle breeze slipping through the cracks of a weary heart. It is silent, yet alive, fragile, and yet powerful. It begins as a tiny seed, nearly invisible, planted in soil often hardened by life's pains. How many times over the years have we felt that dry soil, marked by loss, by goodbyes, by unfulfilled promises, and yet something inside insists on sprouting, a spark, a whisper, a reminder that there is still life waiting to bloom. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul, said Emily Dickinson, with the grace of one who knew the human soul. Imagine this for a moment, a little bird landing inside you, even when everything seems to crumble, even when health falters, when children are distant, or when the days all feel the same. That tiny creature sings even in the storm, even in the cold of loneliness, even when tears wet the pillow at night. Hope doesn't need grand gestures. It just needs a space, a moment of faith, a kind thought. Maybe you think, but I've lived so much. Is there still a reason to believe? And that's exactly where the miracle lies, because hope doesn't belong only to the young. It is in truth the gift of those who have endured, those who fell and rose again, those who learned that to live is also to wait, to believe without seeing, to trust without understanding. And so that little seed begins to take root. It nestles into the cracks of our heart, and quietly, it sprouts. No matter how many winters have passed, no matter how much the world has changed around us, as long as there's a thread of hope, there's a way. And how do we care for that seed? With tenderness, with silence, with words that lift us, not tear us down, with acts of kindness, no matter how small, with memories that warm, not imprison, with the simple act of lifting your head in the morning and saying, "Today I can still bloom." Hope, dear soul, is what keeps us human. It's what makes life worth living, even on the hardest days. And do you know what's most beautiful? It asks for nothing in return. It only asks to be felt. And when embraced, it transforms everything around us. So today, allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to believe, even if just a little. Allow that seed to awaken within you, because it was never truly gone. It was only waiting for the right moment to sprout.